Hello there, everyone. You're all very welcome to The Chirp, a podcast by Pigeon Loans. And our main goal is to bring you stories about relationships being affected by money and loans and educating you on what not to do and how not to make these mistakes and enlightening you on what's out there to improve your personal finances, help your fellow lender, and make taboo topics related to finance a thing of the past. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure to speak with Caben Clausen, who is the co-founder of Pigeon Loans. And this week, I asked his colleague and co-founder, Brian Bristol, to come on the show, share his story about how a relationship of his prompted him to come up with the idea of Pigeon Loans as a platform and what he's learned over the last 18 months from his customers. Now, Brian is a software engineer by trade and is a big supporter of The Chirp, of course, always checking out the episodes, and it felt right for him to finally come on as a guest and give us insight into why lending is so important in society, how it can be a positive thing mainly, and what the future of lending holds for those who really need it. So let's dive in. Stick around for Brian's details at the end if you want to get in touch, and most of all, enjoy. Brian Bristol, as I live and breathe, how are you doing? Welcome to The Chirp. How are things?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm very good. Very good. Thanks for asking. Brian, we've been doing this podcast a while, or we've been working on this podcast a while, and I've always wanted to have you on since day one. And you were always saying, let's wait for other people to share their stories and things like that. But as I said to your co-founder, Caben, a couple of episodes ago, no better man, no better person to come on and talk about money and relationships and how it's all affected than yourself. Um, you know, I've said it before for those who don't know, Pigeon Loans, you are the co-founder of that platform. It's a platform that facilitates loans between friends and family, giving kind of a structured way to borrow and lend and taking the taboo and the awkwardness out of, those type of loans without a system. How did it all come about? What kind of stories or do you have that, inspired you to create Pigeon Loans?
Yeah, definitely. So it's awesome to finally be on the podcast. I've been listening to all the episodes. So it's been great to hear from the grapevine other stories, other individuals. Everyone's life is very interesting. So now to be
Mm,
on it myself and tell my own story, this will be a very kind of interesting experience, like delving into my own work. So this will be fun. But for me, yeah, the
brilliant.
inspiration behind Pigeon Loans, it came about simply because I needed to make a loan myself. If we go back to March 2020 when the pandemic first hit, people were pretty much in dire straits, right? People were losing their jobs. Finances were really kind of hard strung on a lot of people. And it was just kind of a dreary time for like all the world, and especially just specific demographics and groups in the world itself. So for me, my family was someone who was also kind of affected from it. It was a situation in which finances became tighter than they usually are. And when finances become tight, you start looking for options. You start saying, all right, can I go to the bank and get a loan? Can I go to my like local credit union to see if they'll help give me a cash advance? Or sometimes you go to your friends and family. So for this particular kind of time in my life, I was someone who was fortunate enough to still have my job. I was at Intuit working as a software engineer. And if
Mm,
people don't know, software engineers is they get paid pretty well, especially in California. So I was still someone who could like take care of myself and also take care of anyone else who may need just like financial help during that time. And a family member of mine actually came to me and asked for a sum of money where I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I can definitely help you out. But this time I had to take a step back and think about it simply because I was like, you know what? I need to get paid back. Like this time is tumultuous for everyone. I don't know if
mhm.
I'm going to be able to keep my job. It was funny enough, like Intuit did a mass layoff. 30% of the workforce was gone, like almost 4 months later after this initial request happened. So it was something where I had to keep my finances in order as well. And when the request came, I thought I could go online and find a quick app or quick service to actually make a loan with my family, but that didn't exist. I went to like the App Store, I went to the Google Store, I went to any type of technology website application thing that you could think of, and I couldn't find a service that would be able to like actually give me the ability to create a loan generate documents, track payments, all that good stuff over the course of some time. So the engineer in me actually woke up and was like, you know what? We're all at home, we're all doing nothing. Most people are watching Tiger King. Most people are literally just spending their days on Netflix, scrolling and scrolling. I opened up my computer and I said, let me see if I can create something that I would use for myself and my family in terms of creating this loan structure and then have that just be a project that I use over the course of the summer. I did that over the course of 12 weeks. And the very first version of Pigeon Loans was this really bare bones project that I could just spin up a contract, make some payments online, and then set reminders for myself with my family member. Funny enough, I ended up going into a loan with that family member, and over a course of what, 6 months, maybe 9 months, almost a year, I actually ended up getting paid back, fully 100%, and it was the first probably successful loan on Pigeon Loans in terms of like the duration, when it started and when it ended, all that good stuff. So that's kind of the origin story as to how this all came to be. And the craziest part was so many people when I kind of announced this project, this idea on like my own social medias and my own Twitters and whatnot. So many
Mm.
people DM me and contact me being like, this is such a great idea. Like I remember when, or like I had this story when someone, or like someone has their own specific loan story about some relationship and some financial mixing. I was just like, wow, there's so many people struggling with this. Is there a way to make this bigger? Is there a way to get this to more people? So I ended up actually saying, all right, I'll continue to work on this project. I'll continue to build this thing and see how many people this can help over the course of time. So now we're a year and a half later. We've created like 3,200 loans. There's 15,000 people who are on the platform. Every single day, we're moving thousands of dollars. So people are using it. We're growing, and we think it's going to be a great tool to just help people when it comes to relationships and it comes to finances.
And the customers that you do have now, obviously, 18 months into it, what are some of the common types of loans that you guys are seeing? Not so much even the types of loans, but the stories or the reasons for those loans that you come across, and maybe some obscure examples as well would be great. But what are kind of um, you know, the regular reasons people are using pigeon loans?
Yeah, so there's three main reasons. I'll give them off top. First one is to start a business. Second one is for emergencies, things that are speed dependent. And then the third one is really interesting. People are like refinancing their high value debts. So like mortgages, rent, and credit card debt. And to give you a specific story on like one that I particularly like, there are business owners on our platform who are literally saying, you know what? The banks and credit unions will not service me. Maybe I don't have enough revenue. Maybe I don't have enough traction in my business. I have to go to my friend or family member in order to actually keep my business alive. So there's quite a few people on our platform that will say, you know what? Me as an individual, I'll put myself as the borrower and I'll ask a friend or family member as to be the lender. And they will give each other sums of money. Some have been as large as $250,000 on our platform. And that is the course of like that's such a course of strenuous conversation and such a kind of back and forth thought where you're like, wow, do I really want to do this with someone that I know, someone that I have this relationship at risk with? That it's been really eye opening to see people depending on each other so granularly within their community and using our platform as kind of this conduit to do so. So starting a business is huge. Emergencies, if your car breaks down like the morning of today, right? I can't get a loan from Make America that evening to like fix my car. A lot of people are using us to basically say, all right, $3,000 to get a brand new engine. I'll fix that. I'll pay you back in the next month or so. And then the last portion is that refinancing. Interest rates are high, inflation is high right now. People are starting to get creative about how they use their money. And we're seeing a lot of progress and a lot of interesting data that people probably don't have a lot of insight into in the markets about people who are actually taking these debts and these things that are no longer serving them the way they want financially and just refinancing them on our platform with their friends and family.
And I suppose going back to you as the creator of the platform and as an engineer, what is what is your experience been? Not even as kind of a creator of the platform, but I know you actually use it as well. Um, and I think I think you told me that you're kind of one of the biggest users of the platform as well. It is your baby. What has that been like? Not only creating it, but seeing it in action for yourself and using it as an end user.
Yeah, so I've used Pigeon like 5 or 6 times. 1, I always use it so we can boost our own numbers, obviously, to make us look better. But
Of
2,
course.
the second reason is because I actually do need to use it slash want to use it. Every single one of those loans I've made so far have been paid back. I've been doing loans with my close family, like my mother, my father, that type of nucleus. I've done
Hmm.
loans with some good friends of mine simply because they just need to get helped out in a given period of time. And every single one of them, I've been able to use the platform and say, all right, cool. I'll put it on here. We'll manage it over time. I get my own reminders. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot I had this out there. And then I get paid back over time. But I've also been able to understand, like, even deeper the psychology of the problem we're solving. There have been times where I've used the platform and I said, "Oh shit, I wish there was a feature here that all these customers on our platform are probably looking for as well that I haven't built yet." So there was a specific scenario where I wanted to remind the borrower that they owe me a payment, like by just clicking a button on like my portal. And that didn't exist at the time. And I was like, why did I not build this? Like I should have this where you could just click a button and you don't have to actually text someone or call them about their payment. So I ended up building that. And that's like one of our most used features because
Hmm.
like me as the customer, I knew exactly what I needed to solve the problem. And now people are just clicking buttons left and right, reminding each other that they need like payments to be done without that whole awkwardness or uncomfortableness of picking up the phone and calling the other person. So being able to use the platform as both a customer as well as kind of a creator of it, I think that gives us Pigeon Loans and me an unfair advantage into the psyche of like our customers, because then it just allows us to really create the things that have value. It doesn't have to go through the whole process of, all right, do we need to interview customers and figure out if this is worth it? We don't have to like second guess ourselves. We can like genuinely understand what the problem is and then just go create the solutions for it.
And I know you obviously have high ambitions for Pigeon Loans to be, a household name. You know what Coca Cola is to soda. We want Pigeon Loans to be that for loans and for lending. What are
Yeah.
some of the barriers that you see? Obviously becoming an expert in this field and in this area. What are some of the barriers you see for loans to become commonplace? And do you think that maybe loans have kind of an unobtainable feel to them due to kind of the tradition of financial institutions and as well, and obviously Pigeon Loans will be able to help this by you don't have to go to a bank, as you said. You don't have to wait for a loan to be approved. It can happen within 24 hours. But what do you think some of the barriers will be to make Pigeon Loans a household name in the future?
Yeah. So the beauty of this is loans are happening every day already. They're just not being
Yeah.
recorded. No one knows where they're happening and they're not being tracked. So the big stat that we like to say to our investors and just in the public, there's $200 billion moved every single year as loans between friends and family in the United States. And there's over a trillion across the world in that exact same fashion. So with that being the case, we have an extremely unique opportunity to create something that would literally sustain the backbone of informal money movement throughout the world.
Hmm.
And that's like a very, very big problem to solve. But we have the tools and we have the right timing, we have the resources to get that done today. So for us, our plan slash vision for Pigeon Loans is to always exist when you're mixing your relationships with your finances. So if I'm someone who needs to loan someone money, great, we'll be there for you. If I'm someone who needs to consider the ramifications of like what my will might be in the future with my friends and family member, that may be something we get into. If I'm someone who needs access to more cash, but I don't necessarily have the credit score or the kind of like traditional financial barriers to entry to get in there,
Hmm.
We as Pigeon Loans can start using social credit, your relationships with your friends and family members to potentially provide you capital that you might need. These are all ideas and these are all concepts that we're working on and being able to improve upon and provide value for people simply because the activity's there. We just need to unlock it and give people the resources and make them comfortable actually separating kind of this transactional lifestyle from the relationships because that's where a lot of the fear comes into play. The anxiety, the
Hmm.
shame, the kind of just uncomfortableness of it all comes from the fact that you're tying your self-worth or your relationship to the fact that you need to help out someone or you can't pay back someone. And once you make that separation, people on our platform have already told us it's a night and day difference. You can still break bread with this individual and they owe you money. And there's just absolutely no problem behind it.
You have done a great job, this fabulous podcast included, of creating a community of people that, want to lift the shackles of the stigma that happens with loans and lending. And you've done a great job of creating a kind of an educational feel as well on your blog, on your website as well, with this podcast, and enabling me to interview other people and hearing all these stories. Why is the community and the educational part of Pigeon Loans so important to you, and how do you think that's going to, propel Pigeon Loans forward, but also, as I mentioned in the last question, eradicate that those barriers of making loans commonplace?
Yeah, so the reason there's so much education and we're pushing so hard in a community with this entire concept is because people are stressed about finances. And if they're not stressed about finances, they're stressed about their relationships. We were just reading a statistic internally in the team like a couple days ago where it's something like 60 or 70% of all people around the world, their number one stressor is finances. Like people are waking up in the middle of the night in drenched sweat because they can't figure out how to pay their bills at the end of the week. And that is a horrible thing to like think about on a macro level. Like you can't even go to work without thinking about, all right, do I have enough money to pay for these rising gas prices to then make it to work, to then make more money, to then make it home to eat? Like it's just a vicious cycle. So for us, we really want to provide the community and education so that people realize they're not necessarily alone. I think realizing you're not alone will help you in terms of getting through your financial struggles. But then also, you can work together to get through the financial struggles. If I've got $100 and you got $100, we now have $200 if we figure out a way to use this like efficiently. And being able to band together as people who have resources that others may not have is kind of the entire concept we're trying to build here. We're trying to
Mhm.
say everyone can improve their lives if they kind of work together, and we can provide somewhat of a bridge or a platform to do so. And for us specifically right now, it's loans. And that's
Mhm.
something we really believe we can continue to foster as long as we have the support of just people and people understand that, hey, it takes quite a few hands, quite a few heads to get through just this whole crazy world that we're living in right now.
With regards to Pigeon Loans, on a kind of a more, you know, business conversation level, what are you looking forward to for the future of Pigeon Loans? Obviously, we've talked about, you know, the problems that you are facing, and what you want to tackle in the future, but in terms of your kind of your concrete plan and where you see this platform going. I know you're based in Miami. You have a huge amount of talk around you and hype around you, and you've had such success with Y Combinator as well. What is the next kind of 1 to 3 years looking like for Pigeon Loans, and what are you going to achieve?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been fortunate enough to do well. Our team is growing. We've got people coming on every day to continue to add to just the progress we're doing. We got an amazing chance to be a part of the last Y Combinator batch, winner 2022. And we even got featured on Business Insider last week or a couple weeks ago. So
Hmm.
we're doing a lot of good stuff. For us, we really just need to continue to hone in on solving the problems that we have said we want to solve. So for the next 1 to 3 years, it's still going to be that, but just in a lot of different ways, right? So one of the more visceral ways is Pigeon Loans just kind of exists as a website right now. You can go to it, pigeon loans.io. But that's it. People might want to use this out of the back of their pocket on their phone, an iOS app, an Android app. Being able to create a loan with someone that you know and trust just as simply as you would Cash App or Venmo in the States. Um,
Hmm.
that's something that we're going to be thinking about and working on. The ability to actually build your credit profile slash ability to access traditional finance vectors is something a lot of people on our platform are asking for as well. We want to create a system where if friends or family members are helping you, they're not just helping you get through this financial situation, they're helping you build the foundation to get to your next financial situation. So you can go to a bank later on in the future and say, all right, look, I now got these criterion, these data points that say I am a good borrower, or say I am a good person in terms of financials. I can come to you and actually get even bigger sums of money as a bank or institution. Those are things we're working on. And then the other is being able to take care of people who have small financial needs at any given time. There's so much money and liquidity in the world right now that the difference between the top 1% and the bottom 99%, it's pretty much the same amount of money on both sides of the coin. The problem is we just need to be able to trickle some of that money down the funnel so that people could then live their lives the way they need to do in a healthy and safe and just kind of joyous manner, right? So for us, we're working on ideas to give people small sums of money, being able to come to Pigeon Loans and say, "Hey, look, I need $1,000. Maybe you guys can help me out as a platform to get to part of that money. Maybe you guys can go into a loan together with your friends and family members to get that done as well." These are all kind of ideas that we're thinking about where we combine the best of both worlds, the social community, this idea of using your relationships to help you out financially, with also just the power of a corporation in the United States of America.
Hmm.
Companies and corporations can do a lot of stuff that individuals cannot do. So being able to combine the best of those worlds would actually take us to a complete different nexus that I don't think has really been seen before in this world. So for us, there's a lot of amazing things we're working on. Brand awareness. If you haven't checked out our Instagram or TikTok page, we have these really funny kind of comics going on right now. Charles the Chicken, he's educating everyone on how to use their finances responsibly and how to
Hmm.
mix that with their relationships. Obviously, the Chirp podcast, we're obviously going to be continue to tell amazing stories of people who are just out there in the world going about their regular financial lives, but also trying to understand it within the constraints of their relationships, and then we'll continue to add from there. There's so many different angles, so many different things we can do. We fortunately enough got funded, so now we just have the cash to really understand this problem as holistic as possible and create some great solutions for people.
You touched on a point there that I wanted to bring up with you, kind of your relationship, or rather, as a Pigeon Loans customer, you will be able to, build up this reputation. And if you need to go to a financial institution to get a loan, you have that proof that you're, financially responsible when it comes to loans outside of banks. What, personally, what are your thoughts on financial institutions as well? Obviously, do you see them as a competitor, or do you think it's something that they're just a necessary part of loans, the world of loans in general, and you need to kind of embrace that and work with them? Or do you think that there is a time where, Pigeon Loans would be the go-to when it comes to loans, as opposed to, because I was chatting to Keith Moore last week and he said, I think when it comes to, large loans that are needed for your house or for your car, it probably is best to go there, but it isn't obtainable for everyone. So what is your kind
Mhm.
of relationship with banks and credit unions, and where do you see Pigeon Loan stand beside them?
Definitely. I think in terms of sum of money, that's one criteria, but it always depends on like your specific financial situation. So if you're someone who can go to a bank or credit union and get a 2% loan, and do
Hmm.
so within a 2 or 3 day turnaround, I would recommend you go to a bank or credit union and do that because that's what they're there for. They're there to provide you with some liquidity to meet your financial goals, and then you pay them back for just them taking a chance on you. In terms of the opposite, where there's underserved people or underbanked people or even low income individuals, that's kind of where our bread and butter is. People
Yeah.
who are being blocked out of the system in itself has a bunch of different levels and criterions and barriers to entry, and we don't have to get into that, but it does have its place. It has its place to support people who can play within the confines of the system. But for people who cannot get into the system right now, we provide this alternative where it's like, all right, let me depend on the people that I know and trust to get me through this current situation. And then once I've gotten through this current situation, great. The banks and credit unions are still there for me. I can still go back and I can still go get larger sums of money, or I can still go get more specific institutional funds to get
Mm.
what I need to get done. So for Pigeon Loans, we're working in parallel with a lot of banks and a lot of institutions. We genuinely are partnering right now with credit unions, community banks, any type of financial institution that's in that kind of realm to say, look, Pigeon Loans is your alternative. Right now, you guys are declining people in mass. Like people who do not have a specific credit score in the United States of America, you are not getting a loan from anyone because it's such
Yeah.
a widespread system. So for us, we're offering ourselves an alternative solution to say, look, if you can't get a loan from anyone, you might as well try and get a loan from someone you know, and then use us as kind of this point of evidence to get to that, to get to that financial need and have that be met. So we definitely see ourselves continue to grow as the financial institution grows. The ability to bridge gaps, which is what Pigeon Loans really is, being able to serve as a conduit between all these different systems, that's what we want to continue to be. And if we can match people with institutions, people with people, institutions with institutions, we're on a good path. We just need to be able to continue to service that going forward.
Brilliant. One love. And I suppose finally, a last question from me. I know, you're co-founder of Pigeon Loans. You've been at this a while. You're, I would say you're immersed in it. You're immersed in the world of lending as well as technology. What is some of what's been the most heartwarming thing that you've learned about people and loans and relationships that keeps the fire lit and motivates you to keep going on this journey of yours?
Yeah, for me, one big statistic that is kind of eye opening is less than 1% of all of our loans on our platform have gone into a state of default. So, meaning everyone who uses our platform, 99 out of 100 times, pays each other back, which is just phenomenal.
Mm.
So, the thing that's kind of heartwarming and really inspiring to me is when you give people who are disadvantaged or locked out of a specific system the resources and autonomy to do the things that they would have done regardless, they do it in a very responsible manner. Like, we've seen stories where we've gone online, found borrowers who are in desperate need, given them loans ourselves as individuals, and just the amount of gratefulness that comes from that type of transaction is unmatched. Like no
Mm.
one is trying the phrase goes, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you." No one is trying to screw each other over when you go through these types of systems and these hoops and ladders to basically say, "Look, I'm going to help you, but this is a transaction where like I need this back or I need to make this a transaction versus like just a gift and handing this out to someone." So that's been super inspiring. And if we continue to prove out this model, the bigger and bigger we get and the better and better data we get, there could be an entire shift in the way people think about finances where it's like, wow, I might actually consider going to my friends and family members first. I might actually consider doing this more than I was in the past simply because this works. If I know I'm going to give my friend $1,000 and he's going to pay me back $1,100 a year later, and that's a 99% guarantee, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer for pretty much anyone. So this is the things that we're trying to make known to the public and really trying to grow as we continue to grow Pigeon Loans.
Very exciting. Brian, what is the best way for people to reach out to you and contact you personally, or to learn more information about Pigeon Loans as a platform as well?
Yeah, definitely. So for us, the website is pigeonloans.io. There are so many emails out there about Pigeon Loans. It's like support at Pigeon Loans or info at Pigeon Loans or my name, Brian at Pigeon Loans. You will literally get to me, my inbox for every single one of those email anchors, whatever they're called. Outside of that, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not gonna give it to you specifically. Just go to Pigeon Loans, then go to Pigeon Loans and see who it's following, and then you'll find me. So that's
Mhm.
great. And then outside of that, I'm always open to chatting, walkthroughs, education, ideas. We love that, especially from our customers, because they just tell us what we need to build and what we need to continue to do to serve people. So love any outreach, especially from Chirp listeners, because you guys are our bread and butter, and it's going to take a community for us to continue to build this thing.
Well, I doubt it'll be the last time anyway that you'll be coming on to the Chirp for a chat. I know I'll be asking you again very very soon, but a genuine pleasure. As I said, a long time coming, and since we started it and we've been working at this, it's always great to 15 episodes later for you to actually come on as a guest and to tell your story, which is great. So I really appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely going to get Brian back for another episode in the near future, as I'm keen to see how Pigeon Loans grows and to see more and more customers using the platform to lend each other money. So very excited about that. Also very cool to see the growth of Pigeon Loans so far. What started as a software project for Brian to organize a personal loan has blossomed into this exciting, successful, blossoming startup that is always growing. And I think the main thing I noticed and liked about their mission is, and the work they do, and the type of customer that they serve, is that they are doing good. They're doing good work. And Brian touched on this. The loan system in the United States can be unforgiving. If your credit score is shot, you're not going to get a loan that easily. And those that are not golden in the eyes of a financial institution will suffer. And Pigeon Loans has entered the chat. Instead of saying no, you don't need a bank or a credit union, or saying stick with us, we're number one, we'll sort everything out for you, Pigeon Loans bridges the gaps between all of these avenues you can take with personal finance by allowing customers to adopt a social credit score. So if you are involved in Pigeon Loans and you pay your lender back in the suitable time and you follow all of the loan terms, that will stand for you for when you may want to take another loan out from a financial institution. So this is a tool that can help people. And in the tech world we live in, where everyone is clamoring to try and get to the top of the tech world and have the most used app for deliveries or for music or for communication, Pigeon Loans remains humble and totally customer focused, with a message that says, let's help you worry about your finances a little less by asking for help without the risk. Now, that's all for today, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to get in touch if you want to say hello and tell your story. I will be back in 2 weeks, as per usual, with another episode for you all to chew on. Thanks again for listening and for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Stay safe and take care.